Hi everybody, Kay here, and today I'm back to give you guys a really quick tutorial on how I went about creating the base for this Waterfall mini album. So this is the mini album that I'm going to show you how to make. I'm just going to show you how to make the base of it when it comes to decorating it and how you the closures that you use, how you embellish it. That's really up to you. It's your own personal preference. There are a ton of Waterfall mini album tutorials out there and different ways to do it and decorate them, so I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to show you guys how I went about making the base for this. So before we get started, I used the awesome Rejoice collection by Authentique, and what I love about this collection is this paper pad right here. It comes with an entire pad of cut apart pieces, over 50 of them. And as you can see, I've made a couple of Waterfall mini albums. This isn't the only one that I've made with this collection, and I still have all these left. So, love this paper. And Waterfall mini albums are ideal for when you have a lot of cut aparts. It's just the guts of the mini album is pretty much already made for you. So love it. When I saw all those cut aparts, I said, Waterfall mini album. That's exactly what I wanted to make. So this mini album measures, let me see, I think it's 9 3/4. Yeah, 9 3/4 high by 4.5 inches wide, and it has an 1.5 inches, yeah, 1.5 inches wide for the spine. I don't know why I got stuck on that. And the spine measures 1.5 inches. There you go. It has a ribbon closure, and let's walk through it real quick. So open it up, and when you open it up, it displays like this. So there are 10 photo mats on each side, and I created a slider for my closures. And these are removable. You can actually remove them from these belly bands. And these belly bands tuck behind here, and they open up this way. And then here are all the cut aparts that I've used for the photo mats. Now I've only put the cut aparts on one side because they're so pretty. I don't know if people are gonna wanna cover them up with photos. But again, it's up to whoever gets this mini album or whoever's gonna use it. So if they don't wanna cover the cut aparts up, they always can place the pictures in the back. So as you can see, you have 10 photo mats here, and including the base. That's your 10th one. And then these are held closed with these little belts that tuck back here, and then this opens up again. And you have another waterfalls inside. Basically, you could say these are mirror images of each other. So again, the same decorations as the front. You have these sliders here, and you have your 10 waterfalls, your 10 mats. And so you have enough room in here. If you do not use the cut aparts, you have enough room for 10, 20, 30, 40 photos. And these fit up to 3 by 4 inch photos. And on these other sides, I just created pockets. So these are just little paper clips that I decorated with some tulle and some lace. And then here's a pocket, and I created this little booklet, and I tucked even more cut aparts in here. And these are full pockets. This one up here is a full pocket. This one actually goes all the way down. And then you have this one. Let's put this back in here. And on the other side, it's a mirror image, like I said. So same thing, you have a little booklet here. And then you have your other cut apart here. Now, Waterfall mini albums are really versatile as well. Once you kind of master them, how you go about making them, you can make them in any size and any design. So this tutorial is just for this particular design, but you can make other ones. I've already made this other one as well, which is much bigger. This is another one that I've already made. Like I said, I've been using these cut aparts like crazy. So I used the same exact technique, and this one measures 8 1/4 by 9 inches. And it has, I believe, a 2-inch spine. I don't remember now. A 2 1/4 inch spine. Yeah, looks like a 2 1/4 inch spine. And this one follows the same technique as that one, except it doesn't have as many photo mats. I believe it's 7 on each side, and I created them on each other, but then this also flips open. Here you have an expanding pocket. These are one of these accordion pockets that really expand out and you have lots of room in there. And these are 4x6 waterfalls, and I used the same closure as the other one, and these are 4x6. So as you can see, you can also do 4x6, you can do 3x4s. I mean, the possibilities are endless. It's really just how you want to design it. Let's tuck that back there again and open up the other side. There you go. Same thing. I mirror the pages, so they are exactly the same. But again, I used the same exact technique for this one that I did for the one that I'm going to show you. So let's not delay this any longer. Stay tuned for the tutorial on how I went about making this one. So let's get started. Okay, so let's start with the main component of the mini album, which is the waterfalls. So this mini album has 4 waterfalls, and as you can see, I've already started them. I've done 3 out of the 4, and I saved the last one to do online or on camera. And for the 4 waterfalls, you're gonna need 36 pieces of cardstock measuring 3 1/4 by 4 3/4, and then you're going to score each one on the 4 3/4 inch side at 1/2 inch. Okay, so 36 pieces of cardstock measuring 3 1/4 by 4 3/4, score at 1/2 inch on the 4 3/4 inch side. So these I've already done. And then you're going to need 4 pieces of cardstock measuring 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and no scoring on these. All right, these are going to be your bottom page, your very last page on the waterfall. Then for mounting your waterfall, you're going to need 4 pieces of cardstock measuring 3 1/2 inches wide by 9 inches high. And you're going to need 4 of those, 1 for each waterfall. And then finally, you're going to need, let's see here, 4 pieces of designer paper measuring 3 3/4 by 9 1/4. And you're going to need 4 of those. So this piece of cardstock is going to go on top of your designer cardstock. And that's going to be the base of your waterfall. So let's start putting this waterfall together. And it's really simple. And the key here is getting your first photo mat on just right. Once you get the first photo mat on right, the rest of them will fall right into place. So you're going to take one of these, the ones that are scored at 1/2 inch. You're going to burnish that. Okay, and then you're going to take one of your pieces of cardstock, the 3 1/2 by 9, and all you're going to do is put a little bit of adhesive here. Now the choice is yours, whether you use double-sided tape or wet glue. I always use wet glue for this because you have to get this just right, and I'm terrible at that. I'm always doing things lopsided, crooked. It never comes out just right for me. So So I always use wet glue for this, so I have an opportunity to move it around and get it just right. So all you're gonna do is just put some, well for me, I'm gonna put some wet glue here, and then all I'm gonna do is eyeball it and center it right on the top, like this, so that you have your border on all the sides, on 3 sides, right? The top and the 2 sides. So it has to look something like this, where you have all these little, you know, just about a, what is that, like 1/8 of an inch of a border, something like that. Yeah, it's about 1/8 of an inch of a border all the way around. All right, So once you get this one on straight, the rest of them are just gonna line up right underneath this, the 1/2 inch score mark, and then you'll build your waterfall from there. So let's get started on the first one, and hopefully I'll get some glue out because this glue is almost done. And the hardest part of making a waterfall is pretty much done because, like I said, getting that first one on there just right is the key to getting the rest of them to just flow nicely underneath them. So then you're going to take your next photo mat, score it at the 1/2 inch, and then you're going to put your glue right here on the tab, and then all you're going to do is adhere it right underneath the first one. So you fix it right there, and when you close it, it should be all lined up. And then you're going to do the same thing for all 9 of your photo mats, right? Because each waterfall has 9 flaps, and then you have the last one, which goes all the way at the bottom, which is glued down permanently. So this one's different. This one doesn't flip open, it's just glued down. So let me get the rest of these pages on. And then at the very end, when I'm about to put the last one, I'll slow the camera down again. All right? Okay, so here we are. I've adhered all 9 of the photo mats that were scored at 1/2 inch. So at the end, it should look like something like this. All right. And now when you come to the very last bottom piece, all you're gonna do is, this is the piece that isn't scored. You're just gonna adhere it right underneath the last one. The only difference with this one is it just doesn't have it's just not scored, that's all. Yeah, and it should end up something like that. And that's your very bottom piece. All right, so that's all I'm gonna do now. And there you have it. So there's your finished waterfall. All right. So the next thing that I usually do is I create some kind of mechanism for keeping the waterfall closed so it doesn't stick up like this. Now this part is completely optional and it's up to you how you do it. Different people have different ways of doing this, so I'll leave this up to you. But I will show you what I do, and what I use is strips of cardstock. And these strips are cut at 1 inch wide by 11 inches in height. And my advice is to use heavy cardstock for this. So, because it does get a lot of use and you don't want it ripping that easily. So either use heavy cardstock or use reinforced cardstock. And what I mean by that is, if you have Tyvek, which is this material that doesn't rip again, that you can find at your local office stores like Staples or Office Depot, those kind of stores. You can also cut a little strip, and all you need is right here on the end that's going to go tucked in behind my waterfall that keeps everything closed. You might want to reinforce it there, and then just get yourself another strip measuring the same as the first one, and then just sort of sandwich it together like this. so you don't see the strip underneath. And I thought I had a piece of paper. Here we go. This is easier to show. Something like that. So you'll put it in there, and this will go in the front like that, and then you won't see it, and it'll be reinforced here so it doesn't rip. This part doesn't rip. All right, so the choice is yours. Like I said, that's just one option. That's what I tend to do. So in order to make the belly band closure that I use, that's actually the next step that you want to do before you glue this down to the designer paper, right? You got to get this mechanism in there. So all I do for this is cut it, and then I just score it at 1/2 inch on one side. Okay. And then at the bottom of your waterfall, you're just gonna adhere it right in the center on the back like this. And just center it. So I think it's about 1.25 inches, sort of right there, like the middle. Yeah. So like right there is perfect. That's like the center of it. It's about 1.25 on each side. Yep. So you hold it, you turn it around, and right on this little tab, you add a little glue. Okay. So there you have it adhered at the bottom. And at the top, all I do is, to get the right measurement, is I make sure it's nice and right in the middle where it's supposed to go. I just turn it around and I flatten it out, get it nice and flat. And then the top, I just fold it over. And that's how I know how long the belly band needs to be, because this is going to just be tucked in behind this cardstock right here, and that's what's going to keep my waterfall closed. All right, so let me finish prepping this belly band and I'll be right back. And I did reinforce the belt. I put some little bit of Tyvek here, and the other thing I also do is I put a little bit of Tyvek right behind the cardstock right here, because this is where the belt is going to slip in, and it's going to be slipping in and out here when you open the waterfall. So I like to reinforce this edge right here so it doesn't tear when you kind of lift the belt out to untuck it from behind. So I like to reinforce this edge, and I also reinforce the belt, unless you use heavyweight cardstock, which I think that's what I'm going to do next time. I'm just going to use thicker cardstock. This is 65-pound cardstock, and I felt that it was too flimsy for this piece, and I had to reinforce it. But when I reinforce it, I mean, it's stronger, but it adds a little bit of bulk here as well, and I'm not a big fan of it. So I think next time I'm just going to use heavyweight cardstock, like 110-pound cardstock. All right. Anyway, so once you have your Tyvek here, you have this part reinforced. All I did was score every 1/8 of an inch right after my first score mark here, so to make it bendable. And then the last thing I do is with my rounder here, I round the corners, and I used a 1/4 inch rounder just to make it look more like a strap or a belt. That's it. And I just round the edges. And that's it. This is ready to be adhered to your cardstock, your designer paper. So to do that, what I do is I put this down where it's going to go in the back, and then I trace around it to mark it. And the reason I do this is Since this is where the tab is going to go to keep the waterfall closed, you don't want to put glue here. And you don't want to put glue too close to the edges either. So I mark it, and then I know to just put glue here and here and here and from here on down. So I leave this area basically with no glue. So then this can just easily slide in and out. All right, and for this, I definitely use wet glue for this part as well. I do not use double-sided tape for this because you have to be able to maneuver it and do it just right. And with wet glue, also when it dries, it doesn't stick. There's no sticky residue. So I just go around my mark. See that? That's about as close as I get. And then for the rest of it, I can go all the way to the edges, all around it. That I'm okay with. So, this collection, as I mentioned before, comes with a whole lot of cut aparts, and it makes it perfect, ideal for waterfalls. So I already have all these cut aparts pre-cut. And what I like to do also is with a marker, I like to go around all the edges in black. It just makes them stand out more, and it hides the white core. I don't know. Again, that's preference. You don't have to do that. Some people like to ink it, so you can ink the edges if you want, or you can just leave them the way they are. It's really up to you. That's your choice. So that's the final part to finishing your waterfall, is the decorating part, where you put the mats, the cut aparts, or whatever designer paper you're using on the mats. You can do front or back. It's up to you also where you want to put the designer paper. You also might want to decorate your closure here if you want. And let's see if I can tuck this in behind here. Hopefully it works. There you go. Tucked right behind there. See? Keeps everything close. So then once you adhere this to your final base, it'll stay like this. And then this just slips right out. Alright? So this is for last. Let's move on to this base. So the booklet of where your waterfalls are adhered to, and I have the measurements somewhere. Here they are. So for the booklets, or this part, you're going to need cardstock. You're going to need two pieces. 2 pieces of cardstock measuring 8 3/8 of an inch wide by 9.5 inches high. So 2 pieces of cardstock measuring 8 3/8 wide by 9.5 high. And then you're going to score both of them on the 8 3/8 side. You're going to score it at 4 inches and 4 3/8 inches. Okay, which I already did for this one. So again, on the 8 3/8 side, you're going to score at 4 inches and 4 3/8. And then you're going to fold it, and you're going to create this very simple kind of booklet with a 3/8 of an inch gusset. And this is where the base of where your waterfalls are going to be adhered to, as you can see right here. That's what they're going to look like next. All right. So I haven't done this one yet. So this is going to be on the inside. And once I finish decorating this one, I'm going to adhere this one right here. All right. But before we go to all that, let me quickly show you how to create these pockets, because I also added pockets to the inside of the base. So to create the pockets, I'll show you real quick. You're going to need, and again, this is for 2 booklets, right? Because it's a total of 4 waterfalls. So you're going to need a total of 4 pockets, right? Yeah, because it's two pockets in each inside. So you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock measuring 3.5 inches by 5 inches. And you're going to score it 1/2 inch on 3 sides, 2 sides and the bottom. All right. And then you're also going to need 2 pieces of cardstock measuring 3¼ inches high by 5 inches wide. And for this one, you're only going to need to score on the sides, the two sides, at 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. And that's it. And that's all you need to create the pockets. So let's start creating these pockets. So let me make sure that this measures up nicely here at the bottom. First of all, how's this gonna go? This goes like this, which means that this goes like this actually. Yeah. All right. So this pocket's gonna go here. Yep, measures up very nicely. You wanna make sure that the edges of your pocket don't go over your score mark. So as long as they're right by the edge of the score mark, you're good. Thumbs up. So, all right, let me get this pocket on here. Okay, so got the bottom pocket in here already. And now the top pocket. So this top pocket is just gonna go tucked in right in here. So the way you do that is you just gotta clip off the ends right here, and you can just eyeball it about, I don't know, about 1/2 inch or so. And you just do this at an angle. I like to kind of guide myself by this edge, this point right here. So wherever that ends, I just sort of clip it on a diagonal like that. And then I use that same corner that I just clipped off. I just grab it and I use that as a guide for the other side. So then, oops, I grab it like this. Yeah, this is how it goes. I put it right there in the corner as a guide, and then I just snip right along there. There you go. Got rid of those two corners, and then you should end up with a bottom like this. Oh, move that out of the way. Oh, when folded, it looks like that. And then I also like to taper off these ends as well. So right there, and right there. So this little edge right here that I cut in, this is the piece that's going to slide right behind your bottom pocket right here. So it's going to slide in like so. Like that. And then just make sure that you center it nicely. So it's going to go just like that. Alright, so it's a little hard to show because it's black, but basically the edges just tuck in the bottom. And then you don't see it anymore. You don't see that tapered part. And then this is going to be glued down, and then it's just going to look like two pockets, even though this is a full pocket. So from here, you're going to be able to put all the way down here like that. Alright, so let me get that pocket on there. Okay, and there you have it. So your two pockets are in, and you have your one pocket here, and then you have this one that goes all the way down. All right, and you are done with the base, at least the base of the booklet. The only thing that's left now are the covers and the spine. and I'm gonna come back to that next. But what I'm gonna do now, and I'm gonna probably do this off camera because I have to put these on first. But then all I'm gonna come back and do is just glue this down right here like this. All right, and just the only thing here is just make sure you have the even border all the way around. And then same thing on this one over here. All right, and that's it. Hope I did this right way. All right, well, I'll figure it out. But that's really the next step. The next step is just putting this in that way. All right, so I'll be right back. So I'm back, and as you can see, I'm done with the waterfall. I've glued all the cut parts to my waterfall, and I've adhered it to the base of the booklet. I don't know if you realized before, but when I did the previous take, when I was putting on the pockets, I did actually put them on the wrong side. They actually belonged on this side, so I had to redo the base and my pockets. But I got them right this time because the way the booklet is going to open is it's going to be closed, it's going to open like this, and then it opens out this way. So I wanted the pockets to be on the ends. So initially I had put the pockets here. You want the pockets on this side. All right, so just as a minor correction. That's what happens with crafters. We make mistakes, but luckily there is a solution for everything when it comes to crafting. That's something that I've figured out. There's always some way to fix something. So we're done with the insides of the album. The only thing left is the covers. So let me quickly walk you through that. So for the covers, I'm using medium weight chipboard. And you're gonna need 2 pieces measuring 4 1/4 inches wide by 9 3/4 inches high. And you're gonna need 2 pieces of that. And for your spine, you're gonna need 1 piece measuring 1 1/2 inches wide by 9 3/4 inches high. And the way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna wrap my covers and my spine with designer paper from the Rejoice collection, except for the spine where I'm just gonna use plain black cardstock. So the way you wanna cut the paper is 1 inch greater than your measurements, so that you can just wrap it all the way around. That's how I'm gonna go about doing this. So for my designer paper, for the covers, it measures 5 1/4 inches wide by 10 3/4 inches high. And for my spine, it measures 2 1/2 inches wide by 10 3/4 inches high. And all we're gonna do is wrap the covers up. And before I start doing this in fast motion, the way I like to do it is to wrap my paper, and there's tons of tutorials out there on how to do this. Everybody has their way of doing it, but this is sort of how I go about doing it and what works best for me. So you're gonna take your designer paper and you're only gonna score 1/2 inch on 1/2 inch on one side. On the, what is this, the 5 1/4 inch side, you're gonna just score 1/2 inch this way, and you're gonna turn it, and then you're gonna score again at 1/2 inch. And that is all the scoring that I like to do. I use that as a guide as to where I'm gonna put my chipboard, just so that it's centered. That's how I do it. Same thing on the back cover. There's gonna be the back cover, 1/2 inch on the 5 1/4 inch side, flip it. And then on the 10 3/4 inch side, also 1/2 inch. And I do the same thing on the spine. 1/2 inch, flip it, 1/2 inch. And that's it. And I just use that as a guide. So let's remove that and let's start wrapping these guys up. So all I'm gonna do now is, first of all, start molding the paper so that I can see where my corner is. And I'm just gonna put lots of glue and I'm gonna adhere this that way, and I'm gonna do the same to the back cover. All right? back cover, spine, all covered up with your designer paper or cardstock. So the next step is putting all this together to form an actual book. So let me gather up those pieces and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and let me put you up to date to where I am. So last thing we did was we wrapped the covers and the spine, and now we're going to put everything together. So again, this part is optional as to what you used to put your covers and your spine together. I have this material called Kraft Tex, which is also very similar to the Tyvek that I've been using. And it does not, here's a piece of it. I have a piece of it left here. It does not rip. All right. I am big on reinforcing things. I love to reinforce the binding on mini albums or the closures on things. That's just me. You don't have to do that. So all I did was, and I will try to find a link to Kraft Tex. I've had this for years in my stash, and it does come in very basic neutral colors. It comes in black, white, and craft, I believe. So this one, I was just lucky that I had black in my stash, and I cut it to be, I believe 3.5 inches. Yeah, 3.25. So this is 3.25 inches wide by 9.75. So I was just trying to make it about 1/2 inch bigger than your spine. All right, that's what you need to do, and it should be the same height. So that could be flush, and you just need these extra tabs here so you can connect your front and back cover. But all I did was I cut it to size, and then I just adhered my spine right in the middle, leaving these 2 tabs on the side, which is what I'm going to use now to connect my front and back cover. So again, you can use either this Kraft Tex, and I'm going to see if I could find the link of where they sell them online, and I'll post it in the description below. And I love it though. It does not rip, and it just does the job if you like to reinforce things. If you don't want to do that, just use heavy cardstock again for this procedure, and you should be fine as well. Or you can even use Tyvek again. It depends on what project you're doing, but that's just me if you want to reinforce it. If you don't care to do that, then just use heavyweight cardstock and you will be fine. So I got these pieces here adhered to the spine, and then all I'm going to do is, oh, and by the way, I use double-sided tape for this. For this, I do use, for all the binding, I'm going to use double-sided tape because you really need really strong adhesive for this. So this is where I sweat buckets when I try to adhere the covers because I'm so lopsided. So it takes me forever to adhere them right, because once you put them on with double-sided tape, you're done. You can't really maneuver that around like wet glue. So I'm going to take my time putting the covers on. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to put double-sided tape right here on these tabs, and you're going to do it on the inside tab, not the outside tab, but the inside, this part right here. When it's folded in, you're going to put it right here on both sides, and then folded like this, you're going to take your front cover, and then you're going to adhere it like this, right flush, like that. That's how you're going to adhere your spine to your front and back cover, but folded in. So this part is folded in, not on the outside, but on the, don't put it on the inside. Put the adhesive right here on the outside. All right, so that's what I'm going to do now. And again, pardon how long this is going to take, but I swear I'm perpetually lopsided. I can never get this right, so I'm going to take my time, all right? There you go. Not too bad. See, the way I did it the second time around, I was like, duh, why don't I do it this way? It was a lot easier if I just laid out flat instead of trying to do it folded. Sometimes just you lack common sense sometimes, I'm telling you. All right, so this is what it's gonna look like when it's all adhered to your front, your back, and your spine. All right, and then the rest is pretty easy. You're just gonna, you don't need to cover this because this will go all the way up to the edge, so you don't need to put designer paper here. But you will adhere this here, right here, and this will go on this side. You'll adhere it to the front covers, and then you're done. And this is what your booklet's gonna look like. And then I'm probably gonna add some ribbon closure here. I wanna add ribbon closure, so I'm probably gonna add some ribbon closures, and yeah, and then you're done. I mean, everything else is just how you embellish it, how you decorate the spine, how you want to decorate the album. But this is it. You're done. Mini album complete. So, again, last step. It's going to be repetitive. Lots of adhesive here. Center it here, and make sure that your booklets open this way. They open out. So this one opens out towards the end, the back cover, and this one opens out towards the front cover, all right? And then it's up to you what kind of closure you want. If you want a ribbon closure, if you want no closure, that's up to you, because this will close pretty well like this, all right? And finally, however else you want to embellish it, however you want to embellish your cover, if you want to embellish your spine, if you want to add something to the belly bands, which I'm not done, obviously, I still have to cover the belly bands, and I usually like to add sliders to my belly band, something to decorate the bands. So that's the last thing I'm going to do. But so tutorial is done. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get really creative with this, make some really nice albums. You can make this in all kinds of themes. They don't have to be Christmas only. And great, again, like I mentioned before, for collections to have a lot of cut aparts. Waterfall mini albums are the way to go. And these make for really nice gifts as well, little nice stocking stuffers or just nice gifts you want to give someone. I've already given a few for Christmas and they love it. So enjoy, and thanks for stopping by. Have a good night, everyone.